Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. People say you can feel a marriage breaking long before it actually shatters, but I didn't feel it. I heard it. It was the sound of my wife, Madison, laughing in the hallway at 1:13 a.m. Not the soft laugh she used to give me when I told a bad joke. No, this one had an edge to it. A sharp, breathy giggle that didn't belong to a tired wife coming home late from work meetings. It belonged to a woman talking to someone she shouldn't have been talking to. I stood in the dark of our living room, pretending to watch TV, pretending not to care, pretending not to notice that her voice dropped every time she thought I might hear a name. That name, whoever he was, always came out as a whisper buried between nervous breaths. That night, she didn't even come to bed. She slept in the guest room and claimed she didn't want to wake me because she was exhausted. Exhausted from what? Or from whom? Every tiny shift in her behavior was a crack. Her new phone password, her sudden gym obsession, her insistence on taking late-night showers the moment she got home, her perfume changing after years of using only one scent, her coworker who suddenly needed her help on weekends. I tried to believe her. I tried to pretend it was stress, burnout, life. But the truth was louder than my denial. Madison was slipping away from me, one secret at a time, and I was becoming a ghost in my own home. The only predictable part of my day was my routine. Wake up at 6, run 3 miles, grab coffee from the same spot near the train station, and head to my job at the architecture firm. My life wasn't fancy, but it was stable, dependable, predictable. Until the morning, I saw Madison's car parked 2 blocks from a luxury hotel she had never mentioned in 16 years together. She wasn't inside the car. She wasn't anywhere near the street. She wasn't at an early client meeting like her text claimed. Something inside me, something I kept locked up for months, finally snapped. Not in anger, in clarity. A quiet, chilling clarity. I didn't chase her. I didn't storm inside the hotel. I didn't cause a scene. Instead, I stepped back, leaned against a brick wall, and took a slow breath that felt like I was inhaling the truth for the first time. Madison wasn't the only one hiding something. Someone else was watching her too. Because as I turned to leave, I noticed a woman sitting inside a parked SUV across the street, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles were white. Her eyes were locked on the hotel entrance, burning with something that looked like pain and rage twisted together. She didn't blink. She didn't move. She didn't notice me at all. But I noticed her. And something about the way she stared at those hotel doors told me she wasn't a stranger to whatever Madison was doing. I walked away without confronting her. But that image, her shaking breath, her clenched jaw, buried itself in me. And I didn't know then that this same woman would soon pull out the last remaining thread holding my marriage together and offer me a new one I never expected, one that would lead to revenge so precise, so cold, and so satisfying. Madison would never see it coming. I tried to push that moment out of my head. The woman in the SUV, the hotel, the early morning sting of betrayal. But it followed me like a shadow. Even while drafting floor plans at work, even while sitting in meetings pretending to care about budgets and deadlines, my mind kept drifting back to her face. Not Madison's. Hers. The stranger watching the hotel with a stare that looked like heartbreak sharpened into a weapon. I didn't know her name, her story, or what had brought her there. But I knew one thing. The pain in her eyes was the same pain I had swallowed for months. The next morning, everything escalated. Madison left the house in a rush, claiming she was running late. She didn't even kiss my cheek like she used to. No warmth, no guilt, nothing. But I wasn't following her. I wasn't checking her phone. I wasn't obsessing. I was done playing detective. Instead, I focused on myself, something I hadn't done in years. After work, I grabbed dinner alone at Ridgeway Cafe, the only place in town that felt quiet enough for my thoughts. The kind of quiet where a man could breathe, think, and slowly gather the pieces of himself that had been scattered by someone he loved. I picked the corner booth with dim lighting and a wide window, the kind of spot where I could disappear without anyone noticing. Or so I thought. I had just taken a sip of my coffee when I felt a shift in the air beside me. An energy, a presence, something warm and deliberate. I looked up, and my heart jolted. It was her. The same woman from the SUV. Up close, she was even more striking. Strong features, long dark hair resting on her shoulders, eyes that held the kind of depth you only earn through pain. She carried herself with confidence, but it was the tiredness beneath it that caught me. The exhaustion of holding everything in until your chest feels too tight to breathe. She didn't ask if the seat was taken. She just slid into the booth, placed her phone on the table, and stared at me with an unsettling familiarity. For a moment, neither of us spoke. It felt like she was assessing me and somehow seeing right through me. Finally, she said quietly, "You were at the hotel yesterday morning." It wasn't a question. My breath stopped. "You saw me." She nodded. "You weren't there for breakfast." I let out a short, humorless laugh. "Neither were you." That made her exhale sharply, almost a broken laugh. She stared down at her hands, then lifted her eyes again. "I'm Camille," she said softly. "Logan," I replied. Her expression darkened. "Logan, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." I braced myself. "All right." She inhaled slowly. "The woman you were watching going into the hotel, is she your wife?" The question sliced through the shield I'd built around myself. There was no point lying, not when the truth was written all over me. "Yes," I said quietly. "Her name's Madison." Camille shut her eyes for a moment, and when she opened them, they were glossy with a pain she was trying hard not to show. "And the man she was with, his name is Philip." It hit me like a punch. She said his name the way I had once said Madison, with love, disbelief, and betrayal tangled together. "Philip is," I began. "My husband," she whispered. I felt my chest tighten. Everything in me went still. That look on her face outside the hotel, every tremble, every deep breath, made sense now. Madison wasn't just cheating. She was cheating with a married man whose wife had been sitting just 20 feet away. Camille leaned forward, lowering her voice as if betrayal had ears. "They've been doing this for months." I kept telling myself I was imagining it, that he was stressed, that he still loved me. And then yesterday, her voice cracked. Yesterday broke the last piece of denial I had left. My heart thudded heavily. "I know what you mean." We sat there, two strangers tied together by the same wound, breathing the same broken air. Then Camille did something I didn't expect. She straightened up, wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, and let out a slow, steady breath. When she looked at me again, the pain was still there, but something else had risen behind it. Something sharper, something calculating. "Logan," she said softly, "if they had no problem humiliating us behind our backs, why should we sit quietly and let them?" The shift in her tone sent a chill down my spine. "What are you suggesting?" I asked cautiously. She didn't flinch. She didn't hesitate. She didn't blink. "I'm suggesting we stop being the ones they walk over," she said. "I'm suggesting we do something they won't forget." Her eyes locked onto mine, fiery, determined, unstoppable. In that moment, I realized something terrifying and thrilling. Camille wasn't broken. She was planning something. Something big. Something bold. Something neither Madison nor Philip would ever see coming. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel powerless. I felt awake. Alive. Ready. Camille didn't soften her gaze or second-guess herself. She sat there in that booth like a woman who had been pushed past her breaking point, past the begging, the excuses, the blind hope, and had stepped into a new version of herself. A sharper one. A version forged in betrayal and clarity. I wasn't used to seeing that kind of fire in someone's eyes. Not anymore. Not after months of feeling like I was fading in my own home. "What exactly do you have in mind?" I asked, careful, steady, but undeniably drawn in. She laced her fingers together on the table, her voice low and controlled. "We're not going to scream, or fight, or create a dramatic scene like they expect. People like them. They rely on chaos to justify their choices. They want to paint us as angry, unreasonable, emotional, a bitter truth. What we're going to do," Camille continued, "is take the one thing they don't expect us to have." "What's that?" I asked. "Evidence," she said, her voice sharp as glass. I leaned back. "I already know Madison's cheating. I don't need proof." "You do," Camille countered. "For what comes next." Her tone carried something deeper than anger. Strategy. I didn't speak. I let her continue. "Philip has a habit," she said. "He hides things in his gym bag. Receipts, hotel room keys, stupid handwritten notes. He's sloppy. Really sloppy. Madison isn't, I said quietly. She deletes everything. Camille tilted her head, studying me with an expression almost like admiration. Then we'll catch them together. They always meet on Thursdays, don't they? The question jolted me. How do you know that? She exhaled. Because every Thursday night, my husband tells me he's working late with the finance team. And every Thursday night, I sit on the bathroom floor and pretend I don't hear him humming in the shower when he comes home. I swallowed hard. You deserve better than that. The smallest, saddest smile crossed her face. And so do you. For the first time since this started, my chest felt lighter. We talked for nearly an hour. Not about revenge at first, but about routines, details, patterns. Those tiny breadcrumbs cheaters don't realize they leave behind. Madison always showered immediately when she got home. She kept her phone face down. She had new lingerie I'd never seen her wear. She suddenly hated physical touch, unless she was texting someone she claimed was a co-worker. Camille shared her own list. The late-night cologne, the unexplained credit card charges, the new playlist he listened to, romantic, slow songs she hadn't heard him touch in years. 2 marriages falling apart in harmony. When the server came to refill our drinks, Camille waited until she walked away before leaning closer. Logan, you're quieter than before. What's going through your head? I sighed. Honestly, I don't know how we're supposed to play this. We don't react, she said. We act. Then she pulled out her phone and tapped into a folder labeled H. I assumed it stood for husband, but when the screen lit up, I realized it was worse. It held pictures, timestamps, screenshots of locations, 2 blurry shots taken from afar. Philip entering the same hotel I saw Madison at. She wasn't just suspicious. She had been documenting everything. She looked up at me from under her lashes, expression tight. This isn't enough to confront him. But together, we can get more. Her confidence was contagious. Dangerous, even. But it lit something inside me, a spark I thought my exhaustion had killed. What's your end goal? I asked. Confrontation? Divorce? Ruin? She considered my words carefully before answering. I want the truth exposed, she said. To the people they feared disappointing. Their families. Their colleagues. Their perfect little social circle. I don't want to scream at Philip. I want him to lose the one thing he values most. His reputation, I whispered. Her lips curved. Exactly. And Madison? She asked. What does she fear most? I didn't answer right away. I thought about every shift in her behavior, every lie, every moment she looked at her phone instead of me. She hates embarrassment, I finally said. She needs to look perfect. She needs everyone to admire her. Camille's eyes gleamed. Then we'll give her the opposite. A quiet thrill shot through me. The first real sense of control I'd felt in months. But then I hesitated. Camille, what if they're in love? She shook her head instantly. They're not. They're chasing excitement. A distraction. A fantasy. They always ruin it eventually. Then her voice softened. We aren't the ones who broke our marriages. They did. We sat there, absorbing that truth together. 2 people abandoned in different ways. Now, planning something they never thought themselves capable of. Her phone pinged suddenly, and she glanced down. The notification made her jaw tighten. It's him, she said calmly. Philip, asking if I need anything from the grocery store. A mocking, domestic lie. She placed her phone face down and looked at me. Logan, she said softly, are you with me in this? Or do you want to walk away? My answer came without hesitation. I'm with you. The weight of those words settled between us, dense, electric, final. Because in that moment, we weren't 2 broken spouses anymore. We were partners. And the storm we were about to unleash would change everything. Thursday came faster than either of us expected. By late afternoon, my nerves buzzed with a pressure I couldn't name. Fear, anticipation, anger, maybe all 3. Camille and I had spent the past week planning everything with the kind of precision you only develop when pain forces you to think clearly. We weren't confronting them. We weren't begging for explanations. We were exposing the truth, cleanly, quietly, and undeniably. Around 6 p.m., I sat inside my car across from the same hotel where everything had started. The sky was fading into a dull orange, the kind of color that made the world look honest and bare. My phone vibrated with a message. Camille, he just left the office. On the way to her. Me. I'm in position. I took a deep breath and tightened my grip on the steering wheel. My heart wasn't racing. Surprisingly, it was steady. Solid. Like it finally understood what it meant to stop being passive. 15 minutes later, Madison's silver sedan turned the corner. She parked in the same spot she'd used last week, stepped out, fixed her hair in the window, and hurried inside, full of the same confidence she once used to have for me. Then Philip's car pulled up. Different shirt, same arrogance. He double-checked his reflection in his window, straightened his collar, and followed her inside. My stomach twisted, but not with heartbreak this time. With confirmation. With fuel. Another buzz came from my phone. Camille. I see him. Ready? Mia. Let's finish this. We didn't follow them inside. We didn't hide in hallways like detectives in a cheap drama. Camille had already arranged everything. The hotel's lobby corridor had a reflective wall panel, decorative, polished, and positioned directly across from the elevators the two always used. Anyone passing by had a clear side-angle view of couples waiting for the elevator without even realizing it. Camille had become an expert at timing. And tonight, she was standing right where she needed to be. My phone pinged again, this time a photo. There they were, Madison and Philip, standing close, bodies angled together like lovers sneaking moments they didn't deserve. Madison's hand was brushing his suit sleeve. His fingers were grazing her waist. The reflection captured everything. Their faces, their proximity, their intentions. My throat tightened, but the pain wasn't chaotic anymore. It was clean, controlled, purposeful. A second photo arrived, then a third, then a short video of them holding hands as the elevator doors closed. Evidence. Undeniable, irreversible evidence. I whispered, "Thank you, Camille," even though she couldn't hear me. But the revenge didn't happen in that hotel. It happened the next morning. We chose a place they cared deeply about, the annual community brunch hosted by the firm where Madison worked. Madison loved that event. She lived for the compliments, her dress, her makeup, her effortless grace. It was her kingdom, and we were about to bring the truth right to the throne. Camille arrived first, blending in with the crowd. Poised, elegant. No one suspected a thing. I walked in 10 minutes later with a calm I didn't recognize, almost quiet pride. Not because I wanted to humiliate Madison, but because I had finally stopped letting myself be the background character in my own life. The room was full. Over 100 people, including managers, friends, co-workers, and Madison's own parents. Perfect. Madison walked in beside Philip, pretending they just bumped into each other outside. But their clothes from last night, their matching guilt, was still written across their faces. I didn't approach her. I didn't call her name. I didn't even look angry. I simply walked toward the event organizer's table, set down a sealed envelope labeled for the board and staff, and stepped aside. Inside were the photos and the video. Camille had placed a USB drive in an identical envelope marked for Philip's department team, handing it silently to one of his co-workers. It took 3 minutes for the murmurs to begin, 7 minutes for people to start glancing at them, 10 minutes for the first gasp to break the silence. I didn't watch the crowd. I watched her. Madison's smile slowly began to peel away. First confusion, then recognition, then terror. Her eyes flicked across the room, searching for me. She found me. I didn't scowl. I didn't cry. I didn't shrink. I simply nodded. A calm, devastating acknowledgement. Her mother backed away from her. Her co-workers shifted toward each other instead of toward her. Philip's phone lit up endlessly. Texts, missed calls, the collapse of his carefully curated life happening in real time. And Camille? She stood across the room with her arms crossed, leveling Philip with a stare that could slice through concrete. He froze. He knew exactly what she'd done, and exactly why. Madison stumbled toward me, her voice breaking. "Logan, please, let me explain." I stepped back. "There's nothing left to explain," I said quietly. "You already said everything with your choices." Her face crumpled, desperate, frantic, but not out of love. Out of humiliation. And that was all she truly feared. After the chaos settled, Camille walked toward me outside the building. The morning sun hit her hair, her confidence, her composure, She looked like a woman who had survived a war and emerged stronger. You did well in there, she said softly. So did you. She smiled faintly. So what now? I took a slow breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. Now, I said, now we start over. On our own terms. Camille's eyes lingered on me. Longer than before, warmer than before. Maybe, she said gently, we don't have to start alone. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I realized I didn't want to.